What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with the one and only breakdown of the week. If you're not able to read the title of the video is UFC Nashville and LFA 164 full card betting breakdowns and predictions. So, going to start with the UFC breakdown to start out the day with just my 2 cents. It's 12 fights now live in front of an audience in Nashville. Card's been jacked around quite a bit. Yeah, we'll talk about the spots we like, but before we get too much further in, 2 cents, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you? Thank you very much for having me once again. On a little bit of a hangover from 291, but there's some decent fights on this card, and yeah, dude, another week of fights, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, hungover from that Zhang Li hit.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we lost Michelle Pereira, and that was probably a good thing at the end of the day, or Pereira, I should say. That was probably a good thing. Only had 4 fights, but cashed them, finished off with the Derek Lewis cash. Hopefully you cashed with us. Derek Lewis honestly ended up being one of my biggest dog hits of the year because I hit him at plus 100, plus 140, plus 150, and plus 185. So, I mean, at worst, I was going to lose a few units, but ended up stacking up more than a couple units on him. Also included him in the Zhang Li parlay, and did not include Darius Flowers. So separated my heart there because I wanted to put Flowers in there and blow it up, but didn't. I think Flowers looked about as good as I could expect him to look in that spot. I think he did have his chances early against Matthews, and I think he's shown why he's going to 155. So I hope he gets the Trevor Peek fight because he will knock out Trevor Peek. But yeah, pretty good week for both of us from the betting perspective. What are your kind of thoughts on 291 before we move on to this card?
Oh, dude, 291 was just the kind of card I needed, man. It got me back up again in the green for only the second time this year, but yeah, it's probably my best night of the year. Gaethje hit one of my favorite fighters. That was a wonderful little cherry on top. But Lewis was just such easy money in hindsight. And, dude, that felt so good cashing that. I know you cleaned up 291, and, yeah, had a good night, too.
Yeah, you talked me into the Gaethje side. I was not really too decided on that one. But honestly, after talking with you and a few other people, I really did become more on Gaethje as the week went. So, yeah, got onto the Pereira side as I flip-flopped on the Jan Pereira fight throughout the week. Settled on Pereira. Bet the money line because I'm glad I bet the money line. That's all I gotta say. Moving up in weight, it makes a difference. Props to Jan, but I do think that the right guy won that fight, and I think it'll be much better for the division moving forward, anyways. So I feel like Pereira is just we've taken him for granted at this point, but he's like 7-8 fights into his MMA career, and he's faced other than Michailidis nothing but beasts so far in the UFC. He's lost one of those fights. So I think we kind of take him for granted being 36, and he's not going to be around too much longer, but I'm going to enjoy Pereira while he's here. And definitely impressive that he was able to hang in there with Jan and survive that terrible first round. So what up, Moist Audio in the building. So good to see it. We got 12 fights from Nashville. I got a couple dogs on the card that I really like, and let's see. Other than that, I have and a few of the favorites I like that I've paired up. Other than that, I'm leaving a whole lot of this card alone. I'll be honest, at least so far, and probably for the most part, especially when we're starting out with a newcomer, Azu Alabayev and Ode Osborne here. I don't know. Alex's punching style is ugly, and your vision is terrible. Because sure, Justin, whatever you say. With Asu, I've been excited about this guy for a while out of Kazakhstan. Really good fighter, pure finisher for the most part as of late, which I do like more. But the thing, is with his level of competition, anytime it's stepped up, his ability to kind of get that finish has disappeared. The way he looked against Zach Makovsky wasn't great, I'll be honest. I do think that the wrestling of guys in the UFC could really get to Azu. I also don't like that he got knocked out by Tagir Ulanbekov. I don't care if it was in 2017. Tagir is not a guy who can finish guys. It was with 9 seconds to go, but with Azu, he kind of is a bully with the grappling and everything like that. When he can't get that done against the higher levels of competition, he's had more trouble. I think the movement and the length of Ode could be an issue, but Ode just not really a guy who I know how to trust. He's out of syndicate. I don't really know what kind of game plan he'll go in here, but I do think it will be, one where he looks to mix it up for the most part, uses gas tank. I could see him edging this one out. I think Azu is the side I'll take. I'm not betting him because I just don't know what I'm getting out of him still here. 29 years old. I think that the other thing, about Azu is, I'm just not ready to really put a lot of money behind him. I fade Ode Osborne pretty routinely, and he's proven it wrong. When I've gone with him, he's lost. So, to fight like this, I'll take the newcomer, the favorite, but I just wish I would have seen a little more test out of Azu. And I'm not feeling him for the chalky start. So I got Azu, no plays here. I like the highlight reel, but it's against pretty poor competition that he's getting highlights.
Dude, I feel the exact same way. I'm going to pick Abu, and I like what I saw in the tape study, but it's Azu, excuse me. Azu, yeah, I like what I saw, but this is a fight where I just kind of want to sit back and see what we got here. I do think Ode is live on the feet. He's pretty fast.
Yeah.
I don't really trust his chin or his fight IQ, but I just don't know really what I'm getting here from Azu. So I'm going to kick back, pick Azu, because I think that from what I've seen, he looks like he can push a decent pace, and I just like his well-roundedness. And it is more of the pick is a fade on Ode, but I'm not comfortable enough to get to the money line on someone
it's almost minus 200 at this point, minus 192 is what I'm seeing it at. I don't know why DraftKings has two lines at minus 162, 192 in a row to start out the card. But yeah, I'll take the favorite for my long shot full card parlay. I'll put him in there, but that probably is about as much as I'll bet him.
Right.
We just don't know what we're getting at all. And when Ode Osborne could arguably be your toughest opponent to date, that's kind of a red flag to me. So, and we've seen other guys kind of come over from Brave and not look that great. All right, this is the new fight announced earlier today. Azu is a bum, according to Noah. Fair enough. He might be. That's why I'm not betting him. I'll pick him, but I'm not betting him at all. Sean Woodson, Dennis Buska here, or Bazooka, whatever you want to call him. Still only 20 years old is Dennis, so that is one of my big positives on him. He's very, very young. Good on the feet. He's going to have a 10-inch reach disadvantage in this fight. He's taking this fight on very short notice. And the level of opponents Dennis has been fighting since losing to Melzik Bagazarian, not really loving those guys in between, facing a 1-2, 7-5, and then a 6-4 Josh Roller. Josh Roller's not terrible. Like, he's better than his record indicates. Josh Roller just got a pretty big win to win a title recently over with one of the regional organizations. So he's not bad. Then he came in against Khalil Romero again in the Contender Series, and just he looked okay. He should have been able to put away a guy like Khalil Romero, in my opinion. And then went back onto the regional scene and faced Cans 9-5, a Camaro with Maverick MMA, didn't finish there, and then went against a very, very non-impressive Mark Gregory Valerio, who's known for his toughness and got put away in 4 minutes from ground and pound. And then with CFFC, he was facing a 35, 36-year-old in Sozalan Abanakov, who pretty much could only grapple, hadn't fought in CFFC in, I think, a decade, they were saying. Maybe he had fought elsewhere, but either way, just pretty different types of opponents than he's going to get ready for on short notice here with Sean Woodson. I think on the feet it could be entertaining. However, I do think Sean Woodson sometimes struggles to use that reach. But I will say Baghdad Zarian had a pretty easy time for the most part in their contender series fight, keeping the distance with the kickboxing. And I don't think Baghdasaryan's even as good enough for the distance management as Sean Woodson is. So on the feet, I think that is where Dennis could have his best opportunity. Woodson was caught by Luis Saldana. I do think Luis Saldana early can be at his best at times, but other than that, I think for the most part, Woodson, even against Julian Erosa, was, putting his all into that fight for the most part. Meltzik would kill Woodson. Well, Meltzik isn't fighting tonight, Noah. I like Woodson to take this one. I think if it opens at -150, which I'm seeing it at, if I can see that, I'll take a shot on Woodson here. I just think that he's the much better fighter, but with a fight like this, short notice, and a guy who hasn't been really testing himself in Butska, I think that Woodson should be able to take this one and probably gets it done by decision, but I don't know. It's not a fight I'm getting too heavily involved in if it does become available, but at -150, I do like Woodson. So I'll take a poke there. So take Woodson by decision.
Dude, I've been so aloof about this fucking fight. My dumbass thought that when people were talking about Sean Woodson in the group chat, I thought they were talking about PFL or something. Like, I didn't even know he was still in the UFC. That's how far off my radar Sean Woodson has been. But this, for me, is just going to be completely fucking wiki capped.
He hasn't fought in a year. He hasn't fought in a year, and he got a draw against Luis Saldana last time he fought.
Right. It's like, so I'm not betting Woodson for sure. Dude, I have been someone that's always tried to fade Sean Woodson. Not because he's a terrible fighter. He is just one of those dudes that is at the wrong fucking weight class. Is this a 145 still?
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm not betting Woodson, but like, you look at Bazooka's Tapology, he has 2 stoppage losses. I really think his only path is to chin check Sean Woodson. I think he is going to get chin checked at some point, but I don't think it's going to be this guy. I think they'll reach a disadvantage, and like, the level of competition Woodson's been fighting, I think he's probably going to piece this dude up and knock him out. But I'm not betting it. But yeah, give me Woodson probably by TKO, second round.
Yep, fair enough there. Noah sounds like he's on the Dennis side, so I'd wait a little bit because I'm sure when this opens, money will come in on Woodson, I would imagine. So next fight, very good 125 fight here, Jake Hadley versus Cody Durden. This is one of the underdogs who I like on the weekend in Cody Durden. Seeing quite a few people on him as well. It is what it is. Sometimes you'll be on the public dog, sometimes you won't. For me, with Hadley, I do think Hadley has a good bottom game, and that's part of why I like Durden in this spot. I know Durden's going to come out there. I know he's going to shoot. I know he's going to chain wrestle. And that's what I want him to do in this fight. I think Hadley has a slight edge on the feet, but I do think it's pretty close on the feet, honestly. I think Hadley can be bullied. I think he can be put kind of against the cage with his back to the cage to where I do think that Durden can land effective enough strikes to set up the takedowns, because that's what he's going to be doing. The gas tank on both guys, I don't think, I'm like overly impressed by either's gas tank. So I do think that if, Cody can, if Cody can kind of keep the top position, I do think he can keep that going for 2 of the 3 rounds and strong enough through the third round. So this could end up being a closer one than I like, but I do like Cody Durden here. I like him by decision. I think he gets the wrestling done in 2 or 3 at least. With Hadley, I don't think that I am going to rate that submission game from the bottom being too effective here against Cody Durden. And again, the gas tank isn't significant enough to, I think, play a factor here for him either. So I like Durden. I think he gets the wrestling done early and often and gets a decision.
Yeah, dude, I don't get this line at all. I'm definitely like reticent about Durden because so many people are on him. Like, he's definitely the public dog this week, and that always makes me nervous. But I think he's the clear side. I know what I'm getting out of Durden. He's going to be a fucking wrestling rat. Hadley almost accepts takedowns sometimes. He doesn't have great takedown defense. He likes to work off bottom, like you said. And I think he will try to do that. I think Durden's going to be in the takedowns. He's going to be trying to throw up subs. There are going to be some scrambles. Cody, but I just see Durden staying on top. And like you said on the feet, I do think it's close. Like I think Hadley probably a little bit crisper, maybe a little faster, but Durden is not trash on the feet. He has boxing and kickboxing experience, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, give me Cody Durden. I don't like that everyone and their fucking mother is on him, but
everybody is on him, yet the line's moving the opposite.
Dude, I was just about to say that too. What is going on with that? Either people aren't like putting down what they say they are, or something weird's going on. Because like I have not seen too many people on Hadley, and that line ain't fucking going.
I think that we should look less and less into line movement. Things like what happened with. I mean, I almost want to start making a list of these dogs that we're like going so crazy about, and then they make it look easy, like Du Bronx, like Lewis, where the money is going on the Dariush side the whole week. Money's going on De Lima for 3 weeks, right? They don't know something we don't know, period. Sometimes it's going to be right. Sometimes it will be wrong. Probably more often than not, they're going to be right because where the line goes is more often than not going to be correct.
Right.
But it's just kind of, it's one after another. And a lot of people are making up bets, of course. And I think a lot of people making up bets are making up bets that they have Cody Durden. I don't care. I got him at plus 140 the other day, figuring that was going to be the best it would get. It's at plus 160 now, and I might be doing the Derek Lewis double dip. We'll see. I don't quite have the same conviction here, but I really do think the way Durden's been looking, the level of competition he's been facing, and the weaknesses in the English wrestling game of Jake Hadley, I don't see why the line's going the way it is. So, T-shirt boys, do your work. But yeah, we both like Cody Durden here. He's at plus 160 now. I'm real close to making another bet on him.
Dude, I put him in 3 parlays. I know that's counterintuitive, but he's like, why does he feel like a parlay piece to me this week? I just feel like he's the style like a motherfucker.
The man himself, Zhang Li. Congratulations on your parlay last week, my friend.
What up,
You're
John?
Legend. We are not legends. We are just mere mortals amongst you.
You are, Zhang Li. You are.
Yep. Plus 160 on Durden. Probably going to throw him in a couple more parlays because I'm about that life as well. So when it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And this one, to me, doesn't make sense. Durden is 32 at flyweight. That is around the time where you really start to see the gas tank. So that could play in a factor as well. But Jake's going to have to show me it here. Next fight, this is a good old-fashioned white boy featherweight slugfest here. And that's what I think it's going to be for the most part. Billy Quarantillo versus Damon Jackson. Yeah, and Hadley got the hands. Kinda. I don't know. They're all right. They're all right. I mean, I would say like give Hadley the slight nod on the feet, but it's not by much. These guys are very, very close in just about everything. They're 2 34-year-old. I don't know. Would you say jobbers? Because I'd say jobbers for the most part. We got the Fortis MMA jobber in Damon Jackson. Win against Dan 50K Ige. We love Dan Ige on this channel. We both cashed hard on Dan Ige as hardly a favorite against Damon Jackson.
Yeah.
That was insane. The Pat Sabatini fight, his brother died. He came in. He fought with God. Like, I don't know who that was fighting. It wasn't Damon Jackson. Like, whoever it was. Like, so I'm looking back at the Dan Arguda fight, which was very, very impressive, as was the Carmelo Kirk fight. Those guys are like the level below Billy Q for the most part, is what I consider them. With Dan Arguda, he can't really strike that well. Pretty much can only box. He can wrestle, but he never does wrestle, and he can't defensively wrestle well. Damon Jackson put a good game plan together, just wore out Dan Arguda. Same thing with Camuela Kirk. Camuela Kirk came in with back issues or whatever, but did what he needed to do, got him to the ground, worked the submission game. Then, Charles Rosa, like, just these aren't like really that incredible of wins. With the Mercic Bektic fight, even like it's just like he kind of wore down Glass Cannon. And then, there's the knockout issue for Damon Jackson. For me, he's very, very chinny. When he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out hard. It was 7 months ago. When he can't get the grappling going, he does unfortunately start to believe in his stand-up quite a bit here. And that's kind of the same thing with Billy Q. Also a guy who kind of believes in his stand-up more than he should, but he's got the cardio to go with it as well that I just think will play a huge factor in this fight. I think he's going to frustrate the wrestling and the grappling of Damon Jackson. And as the fight goes on, just kind of wear him down. I'm curious about how he comes back from the Edson Barboza fight. That was only 4 months ago. That's a big concern of mine. But Damon Jackson, when his brother hasn't just died, doesn't have this mythical power. I think that grappling-wise, Billy Q cancels it out, keeps it on the feet, and wears him down. I think Damon could have a good start to the fight, but I think Billy takes 2 and 3. Maybe a late finish, but probably a close decision. This could be a split possibility as well if Damon has success with the grappling while Billy Q kind of outstrikes him. But I like Billy Q in this spot. I just think they're pretty similar guys at similar stages in their career with similar levels of damage, and I just think Billy has a gas tank to get it done.
Well, he has the gas tank, and I think Billy's a considerably better striker. I don't think Damon Jackson's a very good striker. I think that they're both jobbers, and I'm not even saying that in a bad way. I just think that they're both kind of just like journeyman action fighters of a decent level. I just think Billy has fought a little bit of a higher level of competition, not by a ton, just a little bit of the next tier up. And they're both. I like what you said about the being concerned about Billy just coming off that knockout loss. And I have the same concerns. That is the one thing that's kind of in the back of my head. Like, is he coming back a little too quick?
4 months compared to 7 months, too.
Exactly. But exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, you look at Jackson, it's like he got chin checked like just a few months before.
Every time Jackson gets chin checked, it's like a Pez dispenser. That's the thing. He goes
to the shadow realm. The
PFL still is using that highlight.
Dude, Aguilar slumped that dude. Right. So I like Damon's a little bit more chinny. Billy's a little bit of a better striker. He's got the cardio. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned about the quick turnaround, but yeah, Jackson, the same thing happened to him just a couple months before, and that's his number 4 for him. So I think Billy's something's got to give here. Neither of these dudes have lost 2 in a row. Billy has been win 1, lose 1 since 2020. I think that trend continues. I think he gets a knockout win here. I think he knocks Jackson out in like the beginning of the 3rd round, middle of the 3rd round, something like that.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. Another minus 192 here. This is really weird. There's 3 minus 192s available on DraftKings right now. Minus 192, Jake Hadley. Minus 192, Billy Quarantillo. And minus 192, Azu Alamabayev.
There's something in the air, boys.
I don't understand what's going on here. But it is what it is. And then the next fight has a weird odds too. Like, all these odds are like, there's minus 198 here. Like, I don't know what's going on. I've just never seen it like this. But either way, would Ilya – yeah, of course they would all sleep Billy Q, but he doesn't have that mileage on him. Damon Jackson does. Damon Jackson has been slept by 3 really good strikers.
Yeah, they're the same age. They're the same age, and I think Jackson is considerably chinnier.
Right. It's the mileage, man. Of course all 3 of them would sleep Billy Q, though. Yes. No one's arguing otherwise. No, I don't. And then, real quick, Let's Dance. Dude, I have both fights flipped. ... I see Hadley sleeping Durden or stopping Durden's takedowns and winning. And ... I see Damon Jackson having his way to grappling. Okay, that's fine. I encourage disagreements. I encourage no one to just blindly follow all of my agreements or not. Like, that's totally okay. And those are 2 perfectly good reads on those fights. I don't predict the future, but I see those fights differently. That's fair. Next fight, welterweight action. This is a really interesting, good fight here. We got Jeremiah Wells, the 36-year-old prospect, taking on Carlston Harris, the 36-year-old prospect. And yeah, well, you're the one who's adding the dots. I mean, like, just go on with your sentence. You don't have to add attitude with your ellipses. But I'm just kidding, man. Either way, you can do whatever you'd want. But
stop the Let's Dance.
We got Carlston Harris here, 18-5. I picked him against Shavkat Rakhmonov. I will never let anybody forget that. I picked him against Shavkat. Shavkat knocked him out pretty good. Came back in March and got the decision win over a short notice Jared Gooden. Um, things I did, things I agreed passing on this fight. Pass. What fight are you saying pass on? I don't know. Is Moise saying this fight pass because he knows how I feel about Carlston Harris? Um, but here's the thing: I like Carlston Harris. He's a good striker, and he's a very opportune grappler. And in this spot with Jeremiah Wells, I think he's going to have an opportunity to do both. I am going to be kind of interested in seeing how his chin is doing. Still because I do have chin questions with him, and Jeremiah Wells can crack for sure. First guy to knock out Court McGee. Had a close back and forth fight with Summonsberger, and then did what he needed to do against Blood Diamond as well. Had a knockout of Worley Alves that I think you never know which Worley Alves you're going to get, but still got the dome bet Rachmanov round one. I wasn't in the dome yet, so either way, but. Thing what I like with Carlston Harris, I do like his movement. I like his ability to control his takedown defense as well. He has decent takedown defense, and I think if the fight gets later and Carlston Harris is into a rhythm and having his way on the feet, I do think Jeremiah could force the wrestling and put his neck into a position where he can get it snatched up for a Darce. I think that the neck and front choke game of Carlston Harris does extremely well. Been against some pretty good level of opponents as well. I got Carlston Harris as soon as it opened at plus 135. It's at plus 114 right now. So I guess some other people see what I see. I think these are both, if it makes sense, they both don't seem like they're 36 years old, at least to me. But we might find out very quickly with the chin of Carlston if Wells is able to connect. I also think that Wells could be frustrated on the feet and eventually kind of walk in or shoot into a knee or something like that as well. So I do think Carlston Harris inside the distance is a good bet as well, because I think the submission is probably going to be juiced anyways, and I do think there's a decent chance at a knockout from either side here as well. So I like Carlston Harris. I liked it when it opened. I didn't think he should be an underdog. I'm also probably one of the biggest Carlston Harris fans in the UFC. So take that with a grain of salt. But I got him at plus 135. I liked it. Plus 114, I would still consider it. I don't know if I'd take it.
Dude, make it 4-for-4, man. I swear we do not talk about all these things ahead of time. And we do not plan oh, we're both going to be on this guy. Just it just happens like that, dude. Other than Durden, Harris was my favorite underdog this week. I feel like this should be a pick 'em fight. I don't feel like people should be dogging Harris too bad. Shavkat is that dude. Shavkat is probably going to end up being champion at some point. I don't think that should be seen as some ooh, I don't know about Harris, but I do understand he has been knocked out a few times. Wells hits extremely fucking hard. Mm-hmm. It won't surprise me if Harris gets knocked out, but this is another one where it's kind of Billy and Damon Jackson. They're the same age. I think Carlston Harris is the better striker, though. I thought that last fight against Simmelsberger was not a great look for Jeremiah Wells. And I'm thinking, dude, if you're getting cracked by that, by Harris, yeah, Simmelsberger hits hard. He has a ton of knockdowns. Dude, Harris has a bunch of knockouts, too. I love what you were saying about the grappling. I think he could hurt Jeremiah, who shoots Wells is a good grappler too. I think this one will really depend on who gets on top. But dude, if he shoots a desperate takedown, Carlston Harris's front choke series is pretty nasty. He's got.
It's what kept Jared Gooding from spamming takedowns there. That and the short notice, but he has the type of choke game that makes wrestlers think about not wrestling.
I agree, and he's got a 2-inch reach advantage. He's got what Moise says them fishpole arms. I think he's a belt. He's really fucking good with the grappling. So I think the grappling is pretty even based on the submission threats from Harris. Wells has submissions of his own and good wrestling. Give me Harris here. I think this should be a pick 'em. I'm going to take the dog. 2-inch reach advantage, better striker. Yeah, give me Harris. I like him a lot this week.
Yeah, no worry. Yeah, no, I agree. Plus, yeah, plus 114 is what Harris is currently at, minus 135. So it's getting to that pick'em price that we think it should be at. The over right now is at plus 145 for the over 2.5. So they're expecting the finish in this one. So it seems like KO by Wells or Harris by submission seems to be kind of the square bets for this one. But yeah, his line got smacked. That's because of me. Let's dance. I move mountains. What can I say?
That's right.
I,
But yeah, I think that is the market correcting itself. I'm not a big line movement guy, but that just kind of what this one feels like. It seems like, okay, yeah, Harris should not be the. I can't remember what I got him at. Like it was like plus 120, plus 125 maybe. But yeah.
Yep, I'm with you. We are through 5 fights now. On to the 6th fight. This is, I think, another close one, man. Like really, really, really close to where I feel like I'm kind of. Sometimes when I talk about really close fights, it almost sounds like I don't know at all what I'm talking. How is Wells' wrestling defense? I think we're about to find out. So, um, with Harris, I could see the pressure with the striking leading to some takedowns too. And if Harris gets on top,
Oh my God, if Carlson gets on top, oh, debate.
It's gonna be by submission. But Peony Barcelos, Kyler Phillips. This one is just like I think a incredibly close fight. This is a split candidate all day long. Right here, Kylie makes every fight close. Yeah, I was humble bragging about my CLV after not humble bragging about missing it with Durden in the last fight, Lobby. So good point.
You making trouble in there, Lobby?
He's like humble bragging about your CLV after I spent like 10 minutes talking about how I bet Cody Durden at plus 140. He's plus 160 now.
Got the riffraff in here now.
Yep. It's your friends. You can take care of them. But yeah, Kylie makes every fight close. And that's it. Like, Kyler Phillips, I get it. He didn't lose to Julian Paiva, but he did to himself. He put himself in that position where it was way closer than it should have been. And that's just what Kyler does. He has such an exciting style, but it's just not a style that's sustainable for 15 minutes. And he pays the price as the fight goes on. And to me, he's coming off of the drug test ban that got Flowers as well. But took him to a 3rd round to get a triangle arm bar on Marcelo Rojo. Just a guy who I feel like he should have really been able to outclass, kind of outshine. He made it closer than he could. I think he's been coasting on the Yadong Song win for a while now. It was a good, decision win, but for me, I think this is a fight where he's just going to fight a guy like Peony Barcelos too close. It's going to be a very close fight where at the end of the day, you want to be holding a plus ticket, in my opinion, because he's lost 3 of 4. A majority lost to Timur Valiev is not great either. So we got a majority lost to Timur Valiev on one side, majority lost to Paiva on the other. Both have lost to Victor Henry. Umar knocked him out pretty clean, so we'll see how he responds to that at 36 years old. So yeah, there's just a lot kind of that I don't like out of Peony Barcelos. He got to the UFC very late, 36 years old at bantamweight, and facing a guy 8 years younger than him and Kyler Phillips. So I can't get on to Barcelos and the former promise that was this late prospect. I think Kyler gets it done. I think it's probably going to be a split decision. And, it's getting to a point where it's making me consider, betting the dog just out of principle with where the line's at. But I think split decision here. And I'll leave it at that. But I'll take Kyler Phillips.
Dude, you could not get me within 100 feet of the betting window for this fucking fight. I am staying so far away from this. Give me Kyler with the youth, and that's it. That's about as strongly as I feel with this one. Kyler will be the pick, and that's all I got.
Yep. Yeah, and it's minus 198 plus 164 on Peony Barcelos. It's just it's convincing me. If it gets that plus 185 number, I'm probably gonna bet Peony.
I'd bet on Women's World Cup before I bet on this fucking fight. In fact, I have. I fucking put a little untracked action on Women's World Cup the other night, and I have not even thought about betting this fucking.
And to make matters more interesting, the over 2.5 is at -180, so you're expecting this to go to decision. So, yeah, nasty stuff there. That is a featured prelim as well. Lord have mercy. All right, we're on to the main card now. Ignacio Bahamandes, the 25-year-old Chilean out of Chicago, 14-4, taking on the 28-year-old Ludovic Klein, Mr. Highlight here, 19-4-1. Ludovic coming off of a draw in a fight where, honestly, if he didn't get kneed in the groin twice and the point kind of quietly taken away, he would have lost that fight pretty clearly. It was fading in the third round, getting out grappled and dominated by Jai Herbert. Just not a great look overall for Ludovic. But before that, I really liked how he looked against Devontae Smith. I liked how he looked against Mason Jones. The Nate Landwehr fight, he was looking good early on, and then the pressure of Nate Landwehr completely changed that fight. Also, I just think that, it's one of these things where, Ignacio doesn't really fight in that way. I get it. He has the front choke capability, but I just think that with Ludovic Klein, he does try to force the wrestling at times, and that could be how he gets himself into trouble later. But I really do think on the feet, the defensive kind of lacking of Ignacio could really affect him. I think that there could be some similar issues he had in the fight like the Magdesi fight, where if Ludovic is able to up the volume a little bit more, like he was at the beginning of the Herbert fight, like he was with the Mason Jones fight and the Devontae Smith fight, I do think he can not easily steal this, but I do think he could steal this fight by a decision. I also think he has that knockout ability, and I think Ignacio's defensiveness is what is making me not feel that Ignacio is the easiest pick of the week. I actually think Ignacio could be a little bit of a trap this week. For one, Ludovic Klein was preparing for Ignacio before the late opponent change with Jai Herbert. And the guys who Ignacio has been beating and the ways he's been beating them just really hasn't blown me away that much. Zurong, I can think, is not great. The Trey Ogden fight, again, was okay, but, I'm just not that impressed by Ignacio. I'm not sold on him. And this is, a play where I got Ludovic Klein at +185. I don't think he should be that large of an underdog. I think technically he's better on the feet. I think that Ignacio doesn't exactly use the length as well as he could. And I think in this fight, at times, we'll see Klein in the clinch where I think he can kind of win some minutes against the cage, perhaps work some takedowns because the takedown defense of Ignacio is questionable. I get more concerned with that game as it goes on for Klein. I hope he more sticks with just the technical kickboxing, but either way, +185, too much for me to turn down. So I took him. Line stayed there, so it is what it is, but -225 Ignacio, I don't get.
Yeah, man, this is just one of those weeks where we're just much the same mind on a lot of it's not like I think Klein is some world beater. I just don't think Ignacio is either, man. And you can really look back at both of these dudes and make cases for either guy.
Yep.
And I think it should be I have no problem with Ignacio being the small favorite, but
-135, -140.
Exactly. This is out of control. No, absolutely not. That's too much. Yeah, dude, look at the John Magdesi is an old jobber, and Trey Ogden is a serious fucking jobber. People were trying to blow sunshine up Trey Ogden's ass that whole fucking fight week. Trey Ogden kind of sucks, dude. Ludovic Klein is way fucking better than Trey Ogden, but people were just so blown away by Ignacio over. I'm sorry, he's a fuck. Roosevelt Roberts is a fucking jobber. Trey Ogden is a jobber. pretty much everyone he's beat has. I'm not saying Ludovic has wins over dudes that are just like infinitely better, but I do think they're a little bit more quality of wins. I'm sorry. I think Mason Jones
One thing I like about Ludovic is his body kicks in this fight too. Ignacio does leave his body open.
Yes, I think people make way too big of a deal out of Roosevelt Roberts, who is so fucking gun shy. Like Ludovic, I think he can have success in the striking. I think he can have success in the grappling too, man. Ignacio's been submitted a couple times.
No, he is not better. That's false.
But, dude, yeah, that's not true. Dude, Ignacio's been submitted multiple times by very low levels of competition. Even Preston Parsons. Parsons is a fucking jobber too. I don't care what y'all say. So, yeah, I'm not blown away by Ignacio. I think he's overrated. I think Ludovic maybe has been overvalued at times, but like this should not be that wide. I do think Ludovic is a very live dog. I have bet Klein myself. Trying to see what the line I got at. It was north of plus 150. I know that. And
I got a plus 180.
Yeah, I like Klein this week. Dude, Ignacio has bad striking defense, and he wears facial damage really badly. Like, it does not take too many strikes for him to be kind of like cut up and busted up in the face. So I think if it's close, like that could maybe sway the judges towards Klein. I think if Klein gets the takedowns, dude, Klein has several submission wins on his record, and he will wrestle. Ignacio, I think, is more inclined to go for, like, he does have good takedown defense, but he's also more inclined to like threaten with submissions as a form of takedown defense. And I think Klein can end up getting takedowns off that, but we'll see. Give me Klein as the dog though, man. I think he's live as fuck.
Yeah, no, I'd take that Ignacio sub prop. I would do that if I were you. Because I don't hate that play on the Ignacio side, especially if Klein forces some gassy wrestling late.
I don't hate the Ignacio side like at all. I think like you can make a case for Ignacio winning. Like Ludovic did struggle against the length of Herbert. Like I would think Ignacio is a little bit better than Herbert. So like I get it, but yeah, the line doesn't make sense to me.
Yep. Next fight here. Tanner Bozer, Alexa Kimura at 205. What can I say about this fight? We got Kimura, who hasn't fought, or Kimura, whatever, Alexa, hasn't fought in, 2 years, over 2 years. He took on Nikolai Negramanu, who was coming off back surgery, and Negramanu just beat the brakes off that kid after the beginning 3 minutes, where first 3 minutes, Alexa looked like an absolute world beater, looked like a fantastic boxer, and then as soon as he started getting hit, you just kind of saw a difference in the demeanor. No idea how that became a split decision at all, because Nikolai just kind of dominated that fight. And then the fight before that in 2020, he lost to William Knight by unanimous decision. His one win in the UFC is against Justin Ledet. And basically, Kimura can beat up guys who can't fight back, like 1-1, 0-0, 2-0, 4-1, knocks them all out inside of 2 rounds. Knocked out Fabio Charant in the second round of their fight. And so his last 2 wins are Fabio Charant and Justin Ledet. I think he's going to get into a slugfest here with Tanner Bozer. When Tanner Bozer gets to go against a guy who doesn't want to grapple, he, for the most part, is able to hold his own, or he gets put away himself. Got knocked out 4 months ago by Jan Kutalaba pretty brutally in that fight. He's also knocked out his fair share of cans in Linz, Pessoa, and St. Preux. I put Kimura on that same level. So I think Tanner Bozer gets a knockout here. But I'm not looking to bet either side here. Minus 155 on Tanner Bozer, plus 130 on Kimura. If you got Kimura early at like plus 170 or whatever he was at, congratulations. But yeah, I got Tanner Bozer.
I'm gonna pick Tanner Bozer here, dude. Too. I only have one parlay with Bozer this week, but I think it's kind of not bad of a line. Like I don't know if generous is the right word, but like
yeah,
it's a decent line. Like it's a big step down in competition. Like Bozer has some wins and losses against like not great competition, like Nascimento. But even Latifi is fighting dudes like Derek Lewis. Andre Arlovsky, yeah, he's old, but he's like a former this would be the lowest level of competition for him since like Pascal. I mean, Bozer went 3 rounds with Gone.
Yep.
I think Kamer fucking sucks. I'm sorry. I don't think Alexa
No,
Kamer.
and like you saw when he got hit against Nikolai Negreanu, like you just saw his whole facial expression change. And it's like in a way where it's like, oh, this is harder than you get hit in practice.
Dude, and the
like
crazy
he's
thing
waiting
is,
to get knocked out. He hasn't been knocked out
thing
yet.
is, people have been darthing Kamer's Vader the whole fucking time. Like before the losses, after the losses, people are so fucking high on this dude, and they're just like, dude, somebody is pushing some fucking Alexa Kamer propaganda because he is not a very good fighter.
He trains with Stipe though.
Is that what it is? He
trains with Stipe. He's
Stipe's little buddy. Oh
yes.
my god. Is it that fucking stupid? Is it really that stupid?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Literally, he's Stipe's friend.
Tanner, dude, Bozer is the better striker. Overall, he's the better striker. Maybe Alexa's got crisper boxing. Okay, like you said, 2 or 3 minutes. Bozer's got way better cardio. Like, look, Kutalaba knocked him out. It was like Kutalaba, and despite his record, Kutalaba is a little bit higher of a level of competition than fucking Alexa Kamer. Tanner Bozer, second round knockout.
Yep. I mean, you're talking me into just doing the Tanner Bozer. Like, am I going to put Tanner Bozer in the Zhang Li?
That's what I like. It's like I can't believe I'm this high on Tanner Bozer because like I shouldn't be, because he's kind of like a mid-tier jobber at heavyweight. But like at light heavyweight, I think he's going to carry some of the power. I think Kamer is going to do the same thing like that happened against Nikolai. Like he's an okay hammer, but when he starts getting nailed, man, Tanner's not like he's not a fucking like one punch like sleep you, but he does have a little pop in his punches, and he's knocked some dudes out before. I think he'll knock out Kamer too.
Man, Kamer by decision. That probably will be a decent prop, Glenbot, if you really believe that. Just because like he dropped off a cliff after those first 3 minutes against Nikolai 2 years ago when he fought last. And now he's on a main card in front of a crowd against Tanner Bozer. So maybe they really want to build him up too, so he can be on the Stipe card at the end of the year. If he knocks out Tanner Bozer, he'll be on the Stipe card at the end of the year. So,
right.
I mean, that would be where the narrative maybe is taken. Gavin Tucker, Diego Lopez. This is a fight here where I and everybody else seems to really like Diego Lopez. And I hate loving a guy coming off of a successful loss against Evelev, but the thing about Lopez is that I really have liked him throughout his career. I do think he belongs in the UFC. I think he got this this opportunity rightly so. The Nate Richardson split decision loss, it is what it is. Nate Richardson fought Fernando Padilla to a decision. Nate Richardson is just a tough, gritty veteran, good kickboxer. And you go back and watch that fight, and he did win it. To knock out Kenneth Glenn, I know he's 10-8, but Kenneth Glenn is a very, very tough opponent. And I really do like that he's developed this stand-up to go with the good grappling, because his grappling, I think, has been stronger through his career. And then the stand-up, the Muay Thai has really stepped up more and more. He also has good defensive wrestling as well. And Gavin Tucker, he's coming off of a brutal, brutal knockout. And that knockout was in 2021. Took 2 years off, had an injury, bad chin, bad cardio. And, I just think he got away with some things, that he shouldn't have been able to get away with. The Ricky Glenn fight, another fight, when it goes downhill, it really does go downhill quickly. I like the level of competition Diego Lopez has fought, aside from, a few late fights like the Angel Rodriguez fight. But I do think that Diego Lopez is ready. He's going to have the much better cardio, and he's much more well-balanced on the feet. I think that Gavin's going to have to resort to pre-heavy wrestling game, which I don't think is a good recipe for success coming back from the back injury and 2-year layoff. I just think Gavin Tucker gets dealt with and loses a decision pretty handily from Diego Lopez. So I just think Diego Lopez keeps us on the feet, and gets it done by decision.
Yeah, dude, I don't have too much here. The pick's going to be Lopez. It really is a fade on Tucker, and I'm just passing, but I'm just not going to pick a 37-year-old inactive. Like, is it fair to say he's a busted prospect? Like, he's another guy that people have just been trying to like will into this UFC like prospect, and like he has like the win over Quarantillo is decent. Like, it's not like he has terrible wins. It's just like he got slept by Ige, and it's been 2 years, and he's 37 now. It's like, I'm not fucking picking that dude. Like, Lopez does have better cardio, like you said, and I think he probably maybe he doesn't finish Tucker, but I got Lopez by something. I'm a pass though.
Yep, fair point. Lopez now minus 175, plus 145 on Gavin Tucker. I think it's correct where the line is at, but yeah, and the 6-inch reach advantage for Diego Lopez. Another thing I really like. Yeah, overall, Diego Lopez, I do think it's a side here. And I think the line pretty much is correct at this point. I don't think it should be minus 200 range, but
yeah, dude, like going from Mavsar to Gavin Tucker, like there's a couple like tiers in between there. I think Lopez should get it done.
yeah, and he looked pretty good on short notice again. Um, so yeah, it's one of those thoughts. I do like Diego Lopez, and yeah, I think he's a pretty popular favorite this week. So just buyer beware. Next fight that I think it's going to be a pure kickboxing fight. I do think if one of these guys goes to the wrestling or grappling, it will be Kennedy and Njoku. And I think he could be successful there. Wouldn't put past another submission win for the African Savage. For one, I just think I like this guy, his killer instinct. I really do like what started to happen. Got the submission win over Devin Clark. That's a huge statement. He was ready for the takedown, set it up with the guillotine, and put him out. He had his moments in the fight prior as well with Jan Kutalaba, where he, with Carl Roberson, I should say, 2 fights ago, where he almost got the submission as well. So clearly has really stepped up in the realm of the grappling. I think especially after the split loss to Nikolai Negramanu, where that was kind of what got him into trouble, was not being ready for that. The Paul Craig fight, that's what lost him that fight as well. Guy's really long. He's putting together good volume, throwing a variety as well, and getting these guys out of there, which I really like. And Dustin Jacoby, 2-fight losing streak. So we got a 3-fight losing streak for winning streak for Kennedy, and 2-fight losing streak for Jacoby, where he just did it to himself against Cleo Roundtree. He let Roundtree just kind of, take over in that fight. And then the Mirzakhanov fight is more the concern. He's getting rocked more and more often in these fights as well, going to war in the fights he's even winning as well. The Jan Kutalaba fight and others. And I just think that he's due for that knockout loss, and I think that Kennedy can do it. So I like Kennedy overall in this spot. I think Kennedy by decision is perfectly reasonable. Noah and I are just not going to agree all week. He's got 30-27. Jacoby fight. Jacoby's IQ is definitely a sus, and the Jacoby just more of a dog. Kennedy a bit of a front runner. Yeah, I think Kennedy's got a little dog in him too, but I liked Kennedy all the way around. I got it at minus 140. I was confused about it. Shifted a little bit to minus 155. I still think that's a great price on Kennedy. And those minus 155 boys might find themselves in a parlay together, him and Bozer. So I got Kennedy here. I got him by knockout personally.
I have been a Jacoby backer for a while. I've been wanting to like see more from this dude, and he is one of the most fucking frustrating fighters to back because he has the skill set. To me, it's just his like, it's either his game planning or his fight IQ or his like. Sometimes it just seems like he'll have the fight right where he wants it, and he just will not reach out and take that motherfucker. He could have done that against Khalil. He could have put like way more of a stamp on it against Khalil, but he just fucking stands there and stares sometimes. And I think this is going to be one of those classic like completions of a triangle theory. because I fucking guarantee you, a lot of people are going to look at this fight and be like, oh, well, Kennedy got knocked out by Da Un Jung. Jacoby knocked out Da Un Jung. Jacoby knocked out Kennedy. It's like, no, it's not like this is going to complete one of those triangle theories where it's like each one of these guys has a win and loss over the other. Kennedy's going to knock out Jacoby. Yeah, like second or third round. I disagree with homie Noah. I think that Jacoby, I'm not going to say he doesn't have dog, but I think he gets like frustrated in there. And I think Kennedy, like, there's evidence of Kennedy having dog in him. The Carlos Olberg fight, he got rocked against Ion Kutalaba, came back and smoked that motherfucker. So I think that's what might happen here. Like Kennedy might get wobbled and then come back. I like Kennedy's cardio. Jacoby has pretty good cardio too, but like
5 years younger too.
I don't like Jacoby to put a stamp on it in a close fight. I think this could be relatively competitive, and I could see Kennedy winning a close decision, or I actually am more liking Kennedy by stoppage. Maybe like ground and pound. I don't know. I like Kennedy here though. I parlayed him in a couple, and I think if you like the Nzechukwu side, it's a pretty decent line as well.
Kennedy and Sandhagen were my favorites on the card. So I'll give that away. I mean, I'm not going with Rob Font. No, breaking news. But the last two fights of the card. All right, Jessica Andrade, the younger Jessica Andrade, taking on the 32-year-old prospect with multiple neck surgeries, coming back from cancer and very many other ailments in Tatiana Suarez. I like Tatiana Suarez here. I'm not betting her a dime. I'm not betting Jessica Andrade, even though on principle I want to. I think Tatiana Suarez gets it done and probably puts her away with like an arm triangle or something. But, it's just the line is gross. So Tatiana Suarez, but she could get injured in this fight. This is the hardest level of opponent she's ever fought here. And it took her a while against Montana De La Rosa. I didn't think she looked like aces there. She's 32 years old now. I think the strawweight cut's going to hurt as she's going on. Jessica Andrade could easily spoil this here. But I'll say Tatiana Suarez by submission.
Tatiana Suarez is a smart pick. She's more than 50% likely going to win.
She's older.
But this one, for me, is just about principalities.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. Like, Andrade is my favorite WMMA fighter. I'm not going to come out here and guarantee an Andrade victory, but I'm rolling with the almost plus 300 dog. I
get it.
On paper, it's Tatiana because I don't know. I feel like she has the like direct path where I've seen Andrade struggle before. Like if she goes right to that grappling and gets on top of Jessica, which she probably will, she's probably going to get her up out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But if she fucks around, like I didn't think she looked great against Montana De La Rosa. I'll be honest.
Not at all.
And that's not a good look, man. Like Andrade, like you look at who she loses to.
Andrade asking for the fight. I love that, if that's true.
Most of the time, Andrade loses to just the highest level of competition. Tatiana Suarez is up there. Like, I would put her about on a Yan Xiaonan level. So I'm not saying bet Andrade. I'm not even saying pick Andrade. I'm just telling y'all that's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Jessica is the homie. I'm riding with the homie. I bet the homie plus 285. Bate Estaca. Let's fucking go. Let's get one more for the boys.
Yeah, fair enough. If I'm betting the side, I'm closer to doing that than putting Tatiana Suarez in all my parlay is Gabriel Bonfim style. But yeah, I'll take Suarez minus 360 though. Just it is what it is. Plus 285.
For sure.
Yeah. If I'm betting on minus 360, it's going to be the one in the main event, and that's Cory Sandhagen. And I'm going to do something to work that price down with Cory Sandhagen. I just don't know what that is yet. Rob Font looked really good against Adrian Yanez. If you want to ask me if I believe in Adrian Yanez, then you haven't listened to the show, because I think I picked all of Adrian Yanez's opponents to also do what Rob Font did, including Rob Font when Rob Font finally did it. What Rob Font did after the Marlon Vera fight is he took a full year off. He took too much damage and he needed to. Came back, still took some shots in that Yanez 2 minutes, but like got him out of there quickly, and now goes into was getting ready for a fight with Song Yadong before this. So I don't hate it. Moves it up a couple weeks, but moves it up a couple weeks. Has to go 5 rounds now, and going against Cory Sandhagen. Rob is the future. And if Rob keeps a full guard, the flying knee will be there. Yeah, I think Rob is a really good boxer, but against these diverse strikers, I think is where he really gets much more exploited. And I think it's going to happen again here. I just think that Font, is in the spot. And my question is if Cory ends up finishing or not. Or if it goes to a decision. Cory by decision, I'm sure would pay out really well. Coming off of a split win against Marlon Vera, we all know what happened there. Song Yadong fight was very, very close. Actually, and when that doctor stoppage happened, it's kind of at an interesting spot. Sandhagen losing very close decisions in his couple fights, that does kind of make me nervous. I think that this could, potentially be a closer fight than it should be, but I think that Sandhagen, ends up getting the finish. I think it comes with the knockout more likely than not over Font. So I'll say a KO round 3 under 4.5, and Cory inside the distance for Glenbot. But yeah, I think this is a good fight. But it's gonna be close. I think if it goes to a decision. So I just think I'm going to side more with the KO prop. That probably will be the way I go with Mr. Sandhagen here.
Yeah, man. My breakdown for this is going to sound so disrespectful to Rob Font, but like I'm someone that got sucked up in the Yanez hype. I picked Yanez against Rob Font. I bet Yanez against Rob Font. I parlayed him, but like the writing was kind of on the wall for Adrian, and maybe I just didn't want to believe it, but like that dude was getting lit up by everybody. He was getting lit up by Costa. He was getting
the writing's been on the wall since his split decision win against Kyle Estrada.
It has been, man. So like that, Cory is a level above Yanez. He just is. He's been fighting at a level higher than that. Like you look at the guys he's losing to, it's Aljo, Dillashaw, which I thought was bullshit. I thought Cory beat him. I thought he put a fucking whooping on TJ. TJ fucking sniffed his fucking crotch in that one to get a bullshit victory. And then Jan. That was a pretty competitive fight. I think Jan, dude, I think this is like not a huge step down, but a little bit of a more winnable fight for Cory than the last couple have been. I think that Rob, I see this fight going like a lot of Rob Font's fights do, where he will put out a ton of volume, but the problem is that Cory can put out a shit ton of volume too. Cory has no problem, even in a fight like that. Like Cory dropped almost $170 on Petr Yan. If he's dropping over 100 strikes on Rob Font, Font's gonna get fucked up at some point. Like he's not like look at the Cheeto fight. Font landed more against Cheeto, but every time Cheeto hit him with something nasty, it hurt him. I think Cory can absolutely do that. I think Cory's gonna be the first dude to knock out Rob Font. So that's what I'm gonna look at. What would be really great for me is if fucking BetMGM will give me a goddamn prop line. That'd be really great. But I'm just gonna sit on my fucking thumbs and wait for that. But that's what I'm gonna be looking at is Cory Sandhagen by knockout. I've seen some people look at I can see maybe club and sub, but that seems a little too cute for me. I think he's going to go for the knockout here and really make a statement. I think, Font will have his moments, but I think Cory's a little bit faster, a little bit more durable, just going to beat him to the punch a little bit. So, yeah, give me Cory by knockout, like third, fourth round.
Minus 355. Rough price on the money line, so I'm definitely going to be mostly going with the props. on this one. But he is in the Zhongli, and we come off a successful Zhongli last week. Going into this week, feeling pretty good about this one. We've got one, I believe, let me make sure. I'm pretty sure I have one prelim fight on the Zhongli, and then the other 4 are on the main card. So it is a main card heavy Zhongli this week, but I got Carlston Harris to start it off. So we are starting off with our dog, Carlston, in there. Moving on, Tanner Bozer, you made the Zhongli. Congratulations at minus 155. Minus 175, Diego Lopez, adding him in. And minus 155, Kennedy Njoku. I'm adding him in as well. Capping it off with the minus 355, Cory Sandhagen. So it should be a pretty easy hedge opportunity if we need to. And plus 1,066 on that fight, or on that parlay right there. So it pays out about 250 for 20 bucks. Put $5 on it, 10 bucks, $1, whatever you want. But plus 4-figure odds here, so plus 1060, plus 1,066 on there for that right now if you place it. So gonna say goodbye to 2 cents here. I know you got the weigh-in show on Friday and everything, right?
Yeah, I'm a do my, well, maybe. I got family coming in town this weekend, so I got to double check when they're getting here. If time permits, I will do the weigh-in show. But I'm going to do that and then guest appear on the MMA Locker Room Talk podcast, the Pub Sports podcast tomorrow. But that's all I got going on for the rest of the week. Dude, thank you so much as always for having me. Great breakdown. Best of luck to you and everyone else. And yeah, man, good shit. Thanks again.
Absolutely. We're going to move on. Appreciate it, my brother. Moving on to the LFA 164 breakdown. Just going to give you a real quick breakdown for Friday. Didn't feel like making a separate video for it, for one, because Sabina Mazo is headlining in the Flyweight Championship main event against Sandra Lovato. But mostly because quite a few of these fights, not going to have a whole lot to say on. Sandhagen same game parlay over 8.5 minutes is minus 140. Later 2 cents. Unblock me too, coward. Pablo Diablo. I don't know. He's already gone, so I can't deal with what he's dealing with. But yeah, gonna grab real quick the lines available for the LFA, and then I will put in the community tab probably tomorrow my PFL picks as well. And are there no lines available on the LFA? Well, you get to real quick find out my LFA thoughts and where I think the favorites will lie. For the first fight with James Pleasance and Ilya Brasilia, I do not really have much thoughts on this one with a 1-0 and a 2-0. Ilya does seem to be a pretty hype prospect from Israel. Good quick knockouts, hasn't really been tested yet. And James Pleasance hasn't fought in 2 years, but has a submission win. So, gotta stay away from that one. Ilya is the favorite, most likely. This fight right here, Jordan Burkholder and Josiah Reyes, I think will be a really good fight. I like this fight at 125. I expect to be able to get the Silver City Strangler at a dog price too, because he's coming off just frankly a bad performance in his third fight with LFA. Got knocked out in about minute 15, but his wins over Jorovic, Acevedo, and Ricky Escobil both looked pretty good in them. Good wrestler, good submission game as well. The stand-up, not bad. He's going to be longer and bigger, much bigger than his opponent, the 5'2", Jordan Burkholder. Jackson Winklejohn, guy likes to get it to the ground, work the submission game for the most part. Decent hands as well. Hasn't faced a good level of competition. I'm going to be taking a shot on Josiah Reyes if he is a decent dog, especially. I think that he is much better on the feet, and I think wrestling-wise, they're pretty close. This fight right here, 145, Isaac Thompson out of Team Alpha Male from Australia, only 21 years old, taking on the 27-year-old Lorian Douglas. Lorian Douglas, very good Muay Thai game. I think he can really test the game of Isaac if Isaac's not able to get it to the ground. For for the most part. He likes to use his wrestling, really good transitions as well. Just got kind of worn out against Dorian Ramos. Really good fight there, honestly. And just, a fight that he lost at 19 years old but by an early stoppage on the ground and pound as well. So very game fighter, good on the feet, but and good transitions as well. I think he will have the advantage in the wrestling and grappling. Lorraine Douglas, the Brazilian, good, pretty well-rounded game, honestly. Got controlled by James Gonzalez, lost to Chepe Mariscal back in 2018. I honestly has lost to a good level of competition in his losses here, and beats the rest, mostly Muay Thai, but has a couple wins by submission as well. I think that Thompson is going to get it to the ground. 2 of his 4 losses coming by submission. I think that Thompson gets the submission win here. Probably be a pretty big favorite, so not going to be too crazy about it. But honestly, if Isaac is a decent enough favorite or a low enough favorite, I will pair him up. Speaking of favorites, Maidabek Orlabe just put on those wrestling shoes and showed he is one of the best Mongolian prospects, in my opinion, in MMA right now. He just absolutely decimated a guy who I really like in Jalen Fuller. Controlled him for all 3 rounds, multiple 10-8 rounds in there as well. Good ground and pound at times. In his other fights, albeit on the Kyrgyzstan regional scene, so don't really know. Glacio Elizario, he's a good veteran, 36 years old, Nova Union, has the win over William Starks in his last fight. That was more William Starks beating himself, in my opinion. Got slammed and KO'd against Chris Brown. The rear naked choke against Aaron McKenzie. Christian Aguilera was able to get the wrestling going as well in their fight and control him on the feet. I just don't rate Elizario that highly when their opponent doesn't get in their own way. And Orlabi showed me nothing to prove otherwise. I think he gets to finish here on the sometimes lightweight Glacio Elizario. I just think Maidabek puts it on him. Co-main event, funny enough, Jalen Fuller, who lost and got dominated by Orlabe, he actually, is getting the co-main event spot over him, taking on Daniel Frunza. Daniel Frunza out of Romania, the Italian fighter, 29 years old. I think he's going to be pretty oversized in this fight. Typically likes to keep the fight on the feet. Has a couple knockouts in his last couple. Took on Gary Boleto Jr., and Gary Boleto Jr. had a really sloppy back take that super high on, and it just looked like Frunza did not know what he was doing. He's been put away by submission in both of his losses. Jalen Fuller, very good on the feet. I think that on the feet he could certainly knock him out, but coming off of the knockout loss against Trey Waters, uses the grappling when he has the advantage in the grappling. Didn't have it against Orlabe, didn't have it against Waters, so kept it on the feet. Did have it against Scott Ritz and had it against Gage Saunders and won both those fights with the submission game, but got controlled in the grappling by Bruno Assis. Daniel Frunza doesn't have a grappling game. He's going to be on the feet. If he gets taken down, Frunza does. He has submission issues himself. This is the type of fight where I think Jalen Fuller gets it done and gets it done by submission. I really like him here. I anticipate he's going to be a big favorite. If he's not a terribly sized favorite, him and Isaac Thompson I would like as a favorite parlay for this one. The Daw and Orlabe, if they're decent enough, put those 3 together because I do think all 3 get it done. My dog for the card would be Reyes, Sandra Lovato, and Sabina Mazo. Just a terrible fight. You're not wanting to bet Sabina Mazo anyways. And Sandra Lovato, the Peruvian zombie, not really that great either, but does, have a good submission game. That is how she tries to get her wins done. Kind of got handled by Shanna Young on the PFL Challenger Series. Got handled by Caroline Wozniak on the Contender Series. I think this is kind of the level where Mazo looks really good at, but is on a 3-fight losing streak coming into this fight. Has not fought since 2022, where she got finished by Maverick by submission, was finished by Agapova by submission. She's lost 2 of her 4 fights by submission. Maverick has some finishing ability, but Agapova, that's kind of a red flag there, honestly. was struggling against Justine Quiche till the third round where she got the submission. But just Mazo, not a fighter I'm looking to get behind as a heavy favorite, and Sandra Lovato, not a fighter I'm looking to get behind in general. Appreciate it, 2 cents. So yeah, that's going to do it for the LFA breakdown. I like Ilya Barzilay. I like Josiah Reyes, Isaac Thompson, Maribek Orlabe, Jalen Fuller, and I guess Sabina Mazo when bet it with somebody else's money. So that's going to do it for the 2 breakdowns of the week. I will put in the community tab, most likely tomorrow, the PFL picks, because PFL doesn't get its own video. But I want to thank everybody, especially 2 cents every Wednesday. Shout out to Fernando Padilla. Messaged me a little bit ago, said he's going to come on next week. Wanted to talk about the Kyle Nelson fight. So we'll talk to Fernando Padilla next week before our UFC breakdown. Just plugging in because he's a friend, not doing interviews. But yeah, Fernando's the man. He's going to wreck Kyle Nelson. I'm just going to say that right now. So shout out to 2 cents. Let's dance. Loved having you in the chat here, man. I have no problem with disagreements either. So glad to hear your takes on those fights. You like Bubba Jenkins this week, so I'll take that into account. But that's going to do it. Shout out to Alex. Shout out to Moise. Shout out to Noah. Shout out to Let's Dance, Justin Villegas. All y'all, appreciate you guys. See you next Wednesday for the next UFC breakdown. Peace out.